Now, in previous videos, we explored both the Breitling Galactic Unitime and the IWC Pilot Chrono Petit prints. That's the older version, 43mm. And I wanted to put them side by side to see which one is better and in what areas. So without any further ado, let's get down to this comparison. If you want to see dedicated videos for these watches, you can just go to the previous videos. Now let's see them side by side. We're looking at 44mm for the Breitling, 43 for the IWC. Even though it's a chrono, it's a smaller watch. Breitling, back in the day, this is a 2015 model. Used to make bigger watches, but they are both from the same time. These are both from 2015. I believe this is 15 and this is 16, the IWC. So but roughly the same time. Now, one is on the strap, one is on the bracelet. I had experience with many Breitling bracelets, so I will give the marks on the Breitling based on what I know on all the Breitling bracelets I ever had. If I was to put side by side both of these watches on their straps, they're basically equal. I don't see any really good reason to give one better grade than the other. But let's see the categories. First category is the box, and if we see them next to each other, we will see that the IWC looks much more clean. Also in the feel is great. The Breitling is a faux leather with the rivets, but I have an 8 for the IWC and a 7 for the Breitling, and the reason being is that they both come with travel case, but the IWC seems to be just a little bit better. Both the snaps on the case and the smell of the leather, the little pillow, is just a little better in every way that I can measure at least or feel. The Breitling is not a slouch, I can tell you this much. They're both real leather, so it could be a matter of preference, but you can see that they have a big difference on size too, so this is more compact. So yeah. Now keep in mind that this is an older box. The new Breitling boxes are not nearly as nice as this one. So yeah, if I had the new version, it would probably be even lower. Now next, warranty. IWC is very straightforward. It has 5 years and 3 years of extension if you scan the card, and I did that. So this IWC has 8 years total, no questions asked. The Breitlings, in the other hand, they have 5 years on their in-house mechanical movements, only 2 years on the generic Celita movements. This one is an in-house movement, which is great. But what they tell you is that every 2 years, you're supposed to take these watches to a Breitling authorized dealer or center to test the water resistance. So yes, technically it can get 8 years of warranty with the extension, but it's with asterisks. So there's no asterisks in the IWC, there's asterisks on the Breitling. And keep in mind that this IWC has a value movement, so it's not in-house IWC, and it still gives you the 8 years, where in the Breitling, if it had a generic movement, you would only get extra 2 years. So case, I have an 8 on the IWC. We talked about this case. It's incredible. It has many different finishes. We have brushed surfaces, we have polished surfaces. It's very interesting to look. It catches the light incredibly well. The tolerances are incredible, excellent. You can't ask for anything more if you ask me. The case back is incredible, well machined, deep grooving, everything is excellent. That doesn't mean that the Breitling is not excellent. It's great. The only thing that make me give it a lower mark is the very plain finishing. It's an excellent mirror finish, but that's about it. It's only one finish, so much easier to manufacture in that sense. Excellent, beautiful case, The tolerances are incredible, but we're going to talk about the crown action later. It also has two metals. We have stainless steel on the case and tungsten on the bezel. And that's very important because if you see here, I don't know if the camera can catch this. There's some scratches on the side, but nothing on the bezel. And this is because of the tungsten. And I have my ring here because it's tungsten. It's the same material as the Breitling bezel. And I use this ring. I wear it at the gym. I lift weights. And after 2 years, there's not a single scratch on this thing. It's incredible. The one thing that scratches are the barbells at the gym. Tungsten is 5 times more scratch resistant than steel. So keep that in mind. And that's why this is an incredible deal here, what we have with this bezel, but very plain finish. So the bracelet, again, I'm gonna measure not this strap, but all the Breitling bracelets that I'm aware of that I got in my hands, and mainly the clasp is where Breitlings are not that great. But if you see the IWC, we talked about this before. Not only we're looking at an incredible bracelet, very, very complicated with incredible fastening system. There's no screws or anything. There's just this little pins here that you can press with anything really, even a toothpick, and remove these links. All links are individually fastened here, so these are not straight lines of imitating links. They're all 5 separate links each, so we're talking hundreds of pieces just on the bracelet. And the clasp has micro adjustment. Press the button, come in, come out, come in, come out. It's incredible. So it's not even close. 9 for the IWC, 7 for the Breitling. The luminance, we're looking at the lume of the IWC. We only have lume on the 12, 3, 6, and 9 mark, as well as the 2 hands, and that's about it. But the lume in the Breitling is great. We have lume basically everywhere, even at the second hand, so we see it moving even at dark. And not only that, but the color of the lume is great because it has that blue hue into it instead of just green on the IWC. So yeah, not only we have more lume on the Breitling and much well spread around the dial, but better color too. The strength is about the same. The only thing that you might see a difference is the IWC hands that have just more surface and therefore might look a little more bright at the beginning. Now crown action, it's not even close. The IWC, the knurling on the IWC crown is incredible. Even with the gloves, I can unscrew it. I feel it smooth. I can just wind it so smoothly. I don't even feel the crown, honestly. It's incredible. It just gives you a very luxurious experience. Pull all the way out and nothing moves. It's stable. The tolerances are incredibly small, so it's great. Screw down crown, of course. So just excellent, excellent. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the Breitling, and this is mainly because of the ergonomics of the crown. I am struggling a little more because of the shape, the conical shape of the crown, to unscrew it. The knurling is much smaller, and then when I pull it, it's also extremely solid. I would say the same or better than the IWC, to be honest. It feels amazingly sturdy, but other than that, the ergonomics of it is just not great. Now I have hard time pushing it in, and but that's it. It's working. It looks good, but it's not nearly as good as the IWC. Water resistance, we have 60 meters for the IWC, which is fine. I mean, if you think that the IWC has the system where in a decompression, the gaskets have this patented system where they will let the pressure go out. So that's great, but only 60 meters for everyday use. I would say it's more than enough. I don't even splash my watches most of the time. So more than enough for my use, but the Breitling has 100 meters, and this is also because it's not a chrono. It only has 2 points of entry here. You have the case back in the crown, where here we have 2 more holes in the case. Now the movement, it's not even close. The IWC has a value movement, 42-hour power reserve. I'm sure it's a top grade. I know that IWC decorates these movements, regulates this specific movement to 6 positions. So it's not a completely off-the-shelf movement. They do work in this thing, and knowing how value movements are and feeling the crown action, I know they worked on the winding system too. So it's not a completely off-the-shelf, or at least I never had a top grade value, and I didn't know how it feels. Based on the basic value though, there's a big difference. But nevertheless, it's a value movement. Now on the Breitling, we have the in-house B35, which is the first Breitling movement that is not a chrono, that is in-house. So the first in-house non-chrono movement that Breitling ever produced. If you do a little research on this, you will see that they say it's based on an ETA caliber. But this is really bad assessment, if you ask me, because the ETA movement is only 26 millimeters diameter. This is 36, so it's 10 millimeters more than a basic ETA movement. So yes, the architecture could be similar or even the same, but at the same time, it's not something that they took off the shelf and they start working on it. They actually build it in different dimensions. And the barrel obviously is bigger because the power reserve of this thing is 70 hours. So it's not even close to a base ETA. 70 hours power reserve. Then it has the complication that's a world timer, and it's a true world timer. Like when you change the time, you see here the whole outer ring moves with the hour hand. So if you like something like a GMT but next level, this is it. It has 24 time zones, and not only the winter but the summertime as well, and it's incredible. In-house B35, 70 hours power reserve, and that's from 2015, guys. So yeah, 10 on the Breitling, 7 on the IWC. Value. Now, look at this. IWC, incredible value, but based on the retail price, it hasn't come down a lot. The original retail price on the bracelet was close to $6,000. That's back in 2015. Today's market, it would be, first of all, it's not even available anymore to buy from an authorized dealer. Unless you find one as a leftover. This is a discontinued model, but it would be close to $7,500, and really you find these all day at around $5,200 or $5,500 on the bracelet. So it hasn't come down a lot, which is great for the brand. I mean, that says that the brand really keeps its value, better than a Breitling for sure. But if you think that you can find this watch all day long for most watches that you will find online, even on eBay, at about $4,100 and up, but still at $4,100 and up is much less than the $9,000 retail price of this thing. And I can see the retail price $9,000 because we're talking in-house complications, in-house, true in-house. Breitling makes their cases, they make their hands, they make the dials, they make everything. So all of this thing, you can rest assured that it was built in the Breitling factory, which is incredible. So comparing the value of these two, it's not even close. It's not even close what you're getting. Now brand, I would say they're about the same. And This is only because Breitling has come up lately really up with the newer models, not up to 2017, I would say. Since 2017, with the new CEO, they've come up a lot, and I see more and more people talking about Breitling watches. And I know also that they're very well known. Not so much in the US, but in Europe, Breitling is a big name, at least as much as the IWC, I would say, if not more. Now, if you see the marketplace, IWCs typically hold their value much better than Breitling. But brand-wise, Breitling is probably equally or more recognized around the world. So for me, it's a draw. Now, the X factor. Comparing these two watches, I can tell you this. My wife, everybody at work immediately is captivated with the IWC. I guess it's the blue dial. It's a much bigger surface of dial. The bracelet, I assume, helps a lot. People tend to like bracelets more. I am getting a nice Milanese bracelet for the Breitling, so we won't have that issue soon. But yeah, IWC, I just see more people giving me compliments or talking about a watch, which typically they don't, than the Breitling. But the moment I show the Breitling, then they see that sweeping hand and they see the world map. They know that something serious is going on here. So they tend to keep their attention more. But this is the attention taker. This is the attention keeper. So what's the total? Well, 88. Honestly, I wasn't planning to do this. I wasn't trying to make them seem equal, but they really are. For different reasons, though. I know that movement-wise, if we're talking like real horology movement, the Breitling is really one of the best in the market. Even today, you can compare it with anything, the Omega World Timer, anything. And that movement really stands alone with anything. This one, the IWC, although it has a generic movement, it's worked by IWC, so it's not completely off the shelf. But when we're talking about this beautiful case and the beautiful bracelet and the beautiful clasp, the beautiful back of this watch, it's on a different level, it feels like. And it's not like the quality is better, because the Breitling has an incredible quality. It's just that it's more complicated, it's more beautiful, and like looks wise, I would take the IWC any time of the day, even though I love the Breitling equally, and that's why I have it. And none of these is going anywhere from my collection. I would add more watches, but I wouldn't sell these watches. So that's all for today, guys. Let me know what you think. What's your pick? Until the next one, ciao.